Personally, I am a very big advocate of always playing the best version of a game whenever you can. If ever I'm going to try a game, I will usually do a little bit of research to make sure that the version I'm playing is the best one that's currently available. But a lot of people aren't going to do that. A lot of people will just see a version of the game available and they'll just grab that and play it, and for a lot of people, that's perfectly fine. They're perfectly happy just playing whatever version of the game they can get their hands on. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying people are wrong for feeling that way. But if you're someone like me that's a little bit more invested in games and does want to get the best experience possible when you're playing your games, then just grabbing any random version of a game isn't really going to cut it a lot of the time. You know, it's like going back to watch one of your favorite movies, and are you going to watch it in the nice, high-quality 4K version? Or are you going to grab the VHS copy and watch that on a shitty CRT TV? Like, obviously, you want to watch it in the nicer version, and it's the same thing with games, for me at least. And a lot of people don't even know about a lot of the versions available for a lot of the Sonic games, and it's very unfortunate because some of these versions are really cool. Honestly, I kind of get a little bit saddened inside when I see someone playing Sonic 1 and they're playing the original Sonic 1 on Genesis, because there's really no reason to play that version of the game anymore. Unless you're like a speedrunner, there are much, much better versions of Sonic 1 available. And no, I'm not talking about the mobile version either. So without further ado, let's start talking about the Sonic the Hedgehog series, and I'm going to go over the best version of every Sonic game, with some exceptions. I'm obviously not going to mention games that only have one version available, because I think you can figure out which one is the best in that case. And I'm also not going to mention games where it's just the PC version is the best version, because obviously a PC can run these games way better than consoles can. I don't really need to tell you that, so I'm just not going to bother with things like that. I'm going to talk about worthwhile versions of these games that maybe people don't really know about, or explain reasons why one version in particular is substantially better than other versions. And so to start, we will obviously be beginning with Sonic 1. And the best version of Sonic 1 available right now would be Sonic Forever. What Sonic Forever is a PC port of the mobile remake of Sonic 1, but with way more extra features and quality of life improvements added on top of that. There's this whole menu of a bunch of different things you can add on to the game and toggle and make it like Sonic 2 or 3 or even Mania, with a bunch of features, and you can mix and match everything to customize the game to be exactly what you want it to be. On top of that, the game runs better, it runs in widescreen, Tails and Knuckles are playable, it has a 7th Chaos Emerald added into the game, meaning you can unlock Super Sonic, and it even has mod support. So if you're going to play Sonic 1, you definitely want to be playing Sonic Forever. In the description below, I'm going to have links available to all of the versions of the games that I'm recommending. Now, moving on to Sonic 2, thankfully, it's the exact same thing as Sonic 1. Sonic 2's best version is Sonic 2 Absolute, which is literally the exact same thing that Sonic Forever is for Sonic 1. In fact, it's even made by the same team that made Sonic Forever. It's got a lot of the exact same features. You know, you can customize the game, toggle a bunch of different things, make it like later games, you know, improvements, quality of life features, whole bunch of stuff. It's really, really good. For these two versions of these games, you will need APKs of the mobile versions of Sonic 1 and 2, but you can get those very easily, so it's not a problem at all. Moving on to Sonic 3, this is once again pretty much the exact same case. You want to be playing Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited, if possible, and this is once again a fan-made PC port of the game with a bunch of extra features and quality of life enhancements. It's not built off of a mobile remake, because Sonic 3 never got the remake treatment, so this is a PC port of the original Genesis version of the game, so it's a little bit less refined than the other games, but that's fine because Sonic 3 was already the most refined of the original Sonic games, and this is actually the oldest of these projects, and so it is the furthest along, with the most amount of features and customizable things. You can make the game more like Sonic 3, more like Sonic and Knuckles, you can customize what music the game uses, you can even use like the beta cut music before they got the finalized stuff. Whole bunch of cool extra features available for this game. It's just absolutely awesome. The only thing is that for this one, you will need to have a Steam copy of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but, I mean, that goes on sale for like $1 all the time, so it's pretty easy to get your hands on. Now for Sonic CD, this doesn't have a really nice, fancy, fan-made PC version yet, but, maybe one day. So the best version currently available of Sonic CD would be to get the decompilation of the remake of the game on PC. Though, personally, I haven't even bothered to get my own decompilation version of the game yet. I just play the Steam version because, honestly, I can't be bothered to go through the process of decompiling the game. It's not as smooth and easy as it is with Sonic Forever and Sonic 2 Absolute. You do have to go through a bit of a process yourself. And the benefits you get of the decompilation are pretty minimal. Really, the only thing that you get is you can get the game running at a much higher native resolution, so the pixels are a lot sharper than they are. Because playing Sonic CD's remake normally on PC, it's a little bit blurry, but it's not too bad, so I find it relatively tolerable. But if you want the absolute best version, the decompilation is the way to go. One thing that's nice about Sonic CD is that there are a lot of really good mods available for the game that you can use to improve the game substantially. For example, you can get rid of the time travel transition anytime you're going from the past to the future, making the game much more better paced, among several other cool mods that are currently available for the game. I'm not going to be able to link to every single cool mod available in the description here, but if you check out my Sonic Was Always Good series, if you go to any of my videos on those games, I have links to all the mods that I recommend in those videos' descriptions, so go check those out, and you'll see lots of cool stuff. And by the way, if anything ever changes in the future, I'm going to try to keep updates available in the description, so if one day there is a really fancy, cool, fan-made version of Sonic CD available, or maybe even if Sonic Origins turns out to be really good, I'll put that in the description, so go check that out if you're watching this video long after it initially was released, because there's probably going to be updates to what are the best versions of certain games. Moving on now to Sonic Adventure. This is very easy, there's no questions whatsoever. The best way to play Sonic Adventure is to get Sonic Adventure DX on Steam, but don't just play that version raw because it's honestly a very bad port with a lot of issues. However, you can improve the game once again with community mods and stuff. And this is where a lot of people would probably recommend Better SADX, but actually that is incorrect. Better SADX is no longer the best version of Sonic Adventure currently available. Nowadays, you want to use PKR's mod loader, which again, I will have a link to in the description, and it's basically the same thing as Better SADX, but even better with even better features. It comes preloaded with a bunch of cool mods for the game, letting you restore the original Dreamcast textures and character models, as well as restoring, playable Super Sonic and things like that into the game. But actually, Sonic Adventure also has a lot of other cool mods that are currently available, so again, check out my Sonic Was Always Good videos on Sonic Adventure. I'll have a whole bunch of links to a ton of cool mods there that can substantially improve the game and make it a lot better. And the same is also true for Sonic Adventure 2. If you get SA2 Battle on Steam, and then you get the mod loader for that, you can do a ton of stuff to make Sonic Adventure 2 way better and more fun. You can fix the control issues, how everything is on just the same two buttons. You can separate the actions for Sonic so you're not accidentally doing the bounce when you try to lightspeed dash. You can restore the radar to the SA1 radar. You can make it so you can play as any character in any level, as well as tons and tons of other cool stuff. Once again, check out my Sonic Was Always Good video. Links to a whole shit ton of mods available there. Now, moving on to Sonic Heroes, this one is a little bit odd, because there is a PC version available for Sonic Heroes, and it does have a mod loader and a lot of cool mods that are currently available. However, I would not recommend playing the PC version of Sonic Heroes, because it is a very bad port that has a lot of really significant issues that have yet to be addressed with mods. And not just small little things like graphical glitches or, tiny things like that. There are substantial gameplay-affecting things about the PC version of Sonic Heroes that do not work correctly. Some scripted sequences are broken, the physics are slightly off, your AI companions aren't able to follow you as well as they are in the console versions of the game. I really would not recommend the PC version of Sonic Heroes at all, despite there being cool stuff available with mods on the PC version. Maybe one day these issues can be addressed, but as of uploading this video, it's still not great in my opinion. I would say if you're gonna play Sonic Heroes, the best way to play it would be to play the GameCube version, as that's the console version that runs the best. And actually, even better than that, if you're one for emulation, Playing the game on Dolphin can be even better because you can run it at a higher resolution and in widescreen. This is also the same case for Shadow the Hedgehog. If you want to play that game, Dolphin is your best bet. Now, Sonic 06, this one is interesting, because one thing I need to say is I'm not going to be recommending any fan-made remakes of the games. Like, mods is one thing, taking the original game and changing some things, but things like Project 06 or the Unleashed Project or things like that are totally different things that are their own beasts. I'll talk about those at another time. For this video, I want to talk about the best real versions of these games that are not some fan-made remake, but are the actual original games made by the original developers. And so for Sonic 06, actually, the best available version of Sonic 06 would be to play it on Xenia, which is an Xbox 360 emulator. And it, too, does come with a mod loader, and it has an absolutely colossal list of tweaks and modifications just right on built into the mod loader that you can apply to Sonic 06. And you would be surprised at how much of a difference a lot of these things can make. You can really polish up Sonic 06 a surprising amount with the amount of mods available on the PC version of the game through Xenia, and it's quite an improvement over the original version of the game. It's definitely much better than playing it on the consoles. Xenia is not a perfect emulator. It's not as far along or refined as something like Dolphin, so you will run into issues here and there, but personally for me, all I ever encountered was the occasional minor graphical glitch, never anything that affected gameplay or was that big of a problem. And to me, that is absolutely worth the trade-off of being able to fix many, many of the issues that Sonic 06 have. Biggest of which is the loading times. Just running the game on Xenia on my PC, look at how fast the game loads now. The loads go down to just a couple of seconds. They become negligible. This is a massive improvement for the game, so if you did want to play Sonic 06 for whatever reason, and you had the capability to do so, Xenia is the way to go. If you're not able to emulate it, the 360 version is better than the PS3 version, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference. So, you know, you can try 06 if you want. Moving on to Sonic Unleashed, no questions the best version of this game available would be to play it on either of the Xbox Series consoles, as those have been modified to run the game at 60 FPS, which, unfortunately, I do not have an Xbox Series console. You're just watching my footage of me playing it on my Xbox One, so it runs at a very inconsistent 30 FPS. The game is playable on Xenia and RPCS3, which is a PS3 emulator, but they both have quite a number of problems. The Xenia version of the game crashes constantly, so I really don't think it's a viable version of the game to play. And RPCS3 really does not run the game super well. It pretty much runs it on my really powerful PC, basically the same as the PS3 version of the game runs it, which is not very good. The PS3 version of the game is uncapped, so it can hit up to 60 FPS, but it is also much more inconsistent than the 360 version of the game, and it will very frequently dip down to single-digit frame rates and makes the game really bad to play. So for Sonic Unleashed, if you ask me, the hierarchy is an Xbox Series is definitely the way to go. If you don't have that, then playing it on an Xbox One or a 360 is the next best way to go. Beyond that, you're getting into really questionable versions of the game, in my opinion, that I wouldn't really recommend. So that's Unleashed covered, but we also have to talk about the other Unleashed, Sonic Unleashed, the version of the game available for PS2 and Wii. And this is a totally different game than the other version of Sonic Unleashed, so it needs its own version recommendation. And for this, it's very easy. Like, Wii absolutely destroys the PS2 version of the game. That version is garbage. But actually, for all of these Wii Sonic games, even more than Heroes and Shadow, I absolutely recommend trying to play these on Dolphin if you can, because all of the Wii Sonic games run normally at 30 FPS. But thanks to Dolphin, you can actually hack these games and get them to run at 60, which makes a huge difference for a fast-paced action platformer like this. And this applies to all of the Wii Sonic games, so Unleashed, Colors, Secret Rings, and Black Knight, all of them can be bumped up to 60 FPS on Dolphin, as well as also increasing the resolutions to whatever your PC can run. So definitely Dolphin is the way to go for all of these if you have the means. Something I actually forgot to mention while recording the rest of the audio for this, Sonic Colors, and whether or not you should play Sonic Colors Ultimate. I'll say I have not played Colors Ultimate for myself, but I have certainly not been impressed by the things it's added to the game. A lot of them seems very negligible or honestly even detrimental to the original game's experience. So, I mean, the reason I forgot to even mention it in the original recording is because I don't even really consider it a viable version of the game compared to the original game on Dolphin, so yeah. Now, Sonic Generations. I know I said I wouldn't just recommend PC versions just because PC versions are the best. However, in this case, there is another reason that I want to talk about the PC version of Sonic Generations, because not only can you run the game at higher resolutions and frame rates, but a lot of these later Sonic games have lots and lots of really awesome mods that are absolutely worth checking out. These versions alone completely trounce the other versions because of how much awesome community-made content is available for these games. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many cool mods are available for the most recent Sonic games. There are so many. If you literally just Google Sonic Generations mods, you will find tons and tons and tons and tons of cool stuff. So for Generations, PC is undoubtedly the way to go. And even for something like Sonic Lost World, you might think, well, the Wii U version does have those two exclusive Nintendo levels, the Yoshi level and the Zelda level, but just recently, in fact, those were released to the PC version as mods. This is actually footage of me playing the Zelda level on my PC. And Lost World does have other cool mods available too, so once again, Lost World, I recommend the PC version. You do lose the Wii U gamepad touchscreen stuff, but I don't really think anyone's gonna cry over that very much now, are they? Mania, once again, this game has so many awesome mods that I, again, couldn't even begin to describe it. Just look up Sonic Mania mods, and you will find an endless barrage of awesome things people are making. There are a number of people making full-on Sonic fan games inside Sonic Mania, and it's super cool. So that alone, once again, totally puts the PC version of the game way over the console versions. Like, it's not even close. The amount of cool stuff the community is making is just so cool and absolutely needs to be played. And even Sonic Forces does have some pretty cool mods that people are currently working on. This Classic Sonic Improvement mod alters Classic Sonic's physics to be quite a bit better than they are in the original base game, as well as adding a Chaos boss fight into the game. And there's a very cool mod in the works called Sonic Forces Reimagined, which remixes the level design of all the levels in the game quite substantially and makes them pretty cool, actually. So even if you're not too hot on Sonic Forces, the PC version might actually have some cool stuff to offer. So that covers all of the games that people actually care about. Let's go back now and start to talk about some of the side games, starting with the 8-bit Sonic games, because these ones are a little bit weird. A lot of the 8-bit Sonic games were released for both Master System and Game Gear, and those two consoles are extremely similar to each other. The Game Gear is basically just a portable Master System, but they do have slight differences from each other. The biggest difference being the resolution. The Game Gear has a much smaller display resolution than the Master System does, meaning you get way less visibility of the level around you when you're trying to platform, which can make some of these games an absolute goddamn nightmare to play. And so that alone would make me kind of inclined to just go straight to the Master System version. But actually, if you play the Game Gear versions on some emulators, Genesis GX Plus is what I like to use, you can actually get the Game Gear games to run in Master System resolutions. That's how similar these two consoles are to each other. And so from there, it kind of becomes a case-by-case basis of which version is better than the other. For Sonic 1, the Game Gear version, even blown up to the Master System resolution, I don't think is very good, because the way the game is programmed, it's not really well optimized for the Master System resolution on Game Gear. You can see the top of the screen is kind of wigging out there, and also lots of objects and enemies don't actually render on screen until they are within the Game Gear's render resolution, meaning things will just pop into existence out of nowhere. Another issue you do have when running the Game Gear games at Master System resolution is that the HUD is kind of in the middle of the screen because that's where the edges are on the Game Gear resolution. There's nothing you can do about that, but that alone is not that big of a deal. You can get used to it. But with all the other issues, I would definitely recommend playing the Master System version of Sonic 1. For Sonic 2, I actually would not recommend the Master System version because the Master System version was only released in Europe, meaning it only runs at 50 frames per second as opposed to 60. And thankfully, the Game Gear version of the game of Sonic 2 works way better blown up to Master System resolution. You don't have issues with things rendering off-screen only when they enter the Game Gear resolution, and you don't have really bad artifacting on the edges of the screen. The only issue you have is the HUD being in the middle, but in my opinion, that's definitely worth it to get the game running at a higher frame rate, so definitely Game Gear version of Sonic 2 is the way to go. For Sonic Chaos, it honestly really doesn't make a difference which version you play. Once again, the Master System version only did come out in Europe, but it actually doesn't matter in this case because the game in general runs so poorly that it really never runs at 60 FPS anyway. Comparing the two versions of the game back to back, I honestly could not tell you which one runs better or worse. They both run equally shit. So at that point, the only thing that you're really comparing is whether you prefer the HUD to be properly in the corner of the screen, or whether you prefer the Game Gear's wider color palette that it can use. Personally, I don't really mind the colors that much. I think the game looks fine on the Master System. I'd rather take the HUD in the corner of the screen, but really, for Sonic Chaos, it's up to you. Sonic Triple Trouble, however, is very interesting because this game never got a Master System port officially. But actually, fans have managed to make their own Master System port of the game, and once again, this is pretty much the same as Sonic Chaos. The two versions are pretty much identical, so you can play whichever one you want. Basically, it's just a difference of HUD position versus color. Once again, I like the Master System version of the game. I'll have a link to that in the description if you want to check it out, because it's a very cool fan project. And lastly, we have Sonic Blast, and if you, for some reason, wanted to play Sonic Blast, this, once again, does have a Master System and Game Gear version of the games available, though the Master System version is a very shoddy port, and it's not very good. However, I actually personally would still take the Master System version because of the wider resolution, because on the Game Gear version of Sonic Blast, you cannot run it at a higher Master System resolution. It just does not work. The way the game is programmed, it just doesn't render properly outside of the Game Gear's resolution. So you either get a janky version of the game or a version of the game where you can't see the level around you. And personally, I'll take visibility over some extra jank, because Sonic Blast already is janky as fuck, so what's a little bit extra, you know? Now for Sonic 3D Blast, the best version of this game is undoubtedly the Director's Cut. This is a ROM hack released for the game a couple of years ago, made by John Burton, who was the original director of the game. And the Director's Cut comes with many improvements and extra features added to Sonic 3D Blast that makes it a lot better. It has a level select, it has tighter controls, it has a way for you to find your flickies if they go off screen. Lots of really good improvements in this version of the game. Undoubtedly, this is the way to go. There is the Saturn version of Sonic 3D Blast available, which does have nicer visuals and an alternate soundtrack, but those are kind of superfluous improvements compared to the things that you get in the Director's Cut, so for me, it's really no question that doesn't even really factor into it when comparing versions. The only thing to me that makes the Saturn version worth checking out is its unique special stages that it has, that are a really cool 3D version of the classic half-pipe special stage, and these are actually really fun and unique to only this version of the game. So, at best, I could say that this is a fun alternate version of the game to check out just for these special stages, though be warned, the Saturn version of the game has really bad load times. Now this one, a lot of you probably aren't very familiar with, Sonic Pocket Adventure. This was an 8-bit Sonic game released for the Neo Geo Pocket Color, which was a handheld that nobody's ever fucking heard of, which is why probably a lot of you haven't heard of this game, but this is a really solid 2D Sonic platformer that was released. And actually, there is a better version of this game, too, available than the original one, and that would be this ROM hack of the game available called Sonic Pocket Winter. All this does to the game is it reskins the first zone to be winter-themed. That's it. The rest of the game is totally unchanged, which is very minor and not very big of a deal at all, but that's not the reason I recommend playing Sonic Pocket Winter. The reason I recommend this version of the game is because it has added Tails and Knuckles as playable characters, complete with their abilities, so that is very cool. Knuckles can't climb walls, unfortunately, but still, really cool ROM hack that I definitely appreciate. Once again, a link will be available in the description. Now for Sonic the Fighters, pretty much every version of this game is identical. The only difference is that the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions have Honey as a playable character, because Honey was not finished for the game's initial release back in the day, and they ended up finishing her for the newer versions of the game released on 360 and PS3. So if you're going to play Sonic the Fighters, might as well play the version that has an extra playable character, right? And now we can round things off with the Sonic racing games. Starting with Sonic R, of course, and the best version of Sonic R is the PC version of the game. Yeah, this game actually had a PC version, an old-ass one that came on a disc. But that version doesn't work on modern computers. Normally, however, there is thankfully a mod loader for the game that updates it and gets it to run on modern machines. Another nice thing about the mod loader for this game is that it makes it so you don't need the disc anymore, which is very nice. The reason I recommend this version of the game is because the version of Sonic R available through things like Sonic Gems Collection or the base version of the PC game is that the original Saturn version of the game had special lighting effects that were lost on later PC versions of the game, and that's the version that was ported to the Gems Collection. But thanks to this mod loader, you can get the game running properly on a modern PC, and you can restore the game's original lighting. And on top of that, there are a number of cool mods available for the game to fix a couple of issues with the textures, and also improve the game, making the controls tighter, making the collision detection a little bit better. Once again, you can check out my Sonic Was Always Good video on this game, and I'll have links to all of the recommended mods over there. And now, lastly, the coup de grace, probably some of the coolest fan versions of official Sonic games currently available, which is the Sonic Riders games. And Sonic Riders itself is quite interesting, because there's actually two versions of this game that are very, very cool. Sonic Riders Tournament Edition and Sonic Riders DX. Reason that there's two versions of this is that, to my understanding, these were originally one project that splintered into two different projects. So these two versions of the game are very similar to each other and have a lot of shared DNA, but they do have their differences. Basically, what Tournament Edition and DX do is they take Sonic Riders and they heavily modify the game to add a lot of extra depth to the game and make it more competitive. They've rebalanced the game substantially. They've added secondary character types to the game, other than just the main speed, flight, and power, making all the characters more unique from each other. They have significantly changed a lot of the gears in how they function and what they do to make them more unique from each other and more competitively viable. Not only that, but they also have a lot of extra added mechanics thrown on top of the game to give it even more depth. And I haven't tried playing these games against other people or anything like that yet, but just playing them as someone that's played a good amount of Sonic Riders, I think these are substantial improvements. They are really fun. For example, what I'm showing right now is me playing Tournament Edition, and this is a character with no type at all. He's not speed, flight, or power. He has no type, but as a trade-off, he has incredibly good stats. And additionally, I'm using this gear that grants you boost drifts basically immediately after you start a drift, meaning you can spam drifts and get constant boosts all the time. This is the kind of stuff that you get playing this version of the game. Meanwhile, over in DX, I'm using these skates that actually give you a speed boost when you're out of air and you're running on foot. So you actually want to try to run out of air with these and start running, which can actually be quite interesting because there's a lot of parts in the level that will forcibly give you air, and so you have to try to get rid of that air while also not, falling behind in the race. It's really cool, actually, and it does add quite a bit of layers of depth to the game that weren't there before. I haven't played these two versions of the games enough to tell you which one is better than the other or anything like that, but quite frankly, both of these projects are super cool and both worth checking out. They both even have their own dedicated websites that tell you all the changes they make to the game and give you an introduction of the new mechanics introduced and all that kinds of stuff. So once again, links in the description to both of these websites. Go check them out. They are very, very cool. And they even have their own communities for online net play for races and tournaments and stuff. What's going on with the Sonic Riders scene is really, really neat. Though I wouldn't necessarily recommend these versions of the games as a replacement to the original Sonic Riders, because they do so heavily modify the game, you do lose a little bit of that vanilla Sonic Riders experience. So I would actually recommend play the normal Sonic Riders first, and then once you've done that, move on to these versions of the games to go up to the big boy leagues of Sonic Riders. And the same is actually the case for Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. There is another version of this game available. I'm pretty sure it's made by some of the people that made those two versions of Sonic Riders. And once again, it's very much the same kind of thing. We have Sonic Riders Zero Gravity re-gravitified, which does pretty much the exact same thing that the other games did for Riders. First of all, it has re-implemented types back into the game, so you have speed, flight, and power characters as opposed to that being associated with the gears. And additionally, they have restored boosting and drifting into the game, as well as, once again, rebalancing things, modifying gears to have different effects and rebalancing stuff. Basically, it's another cool version of Sonic Riders that's available that is very neat. Once again, I would recommend playing the normal Sonic Riders Zero Gravity first, and then moving on to this. Yeah. These are some really cool projects. Definitely keep an eye on these. So there you have it. There is every version of the Sonic games that I think are worth playing that usually end up getting overlooked by a lot of people because they just, quite frankly, don't know these things exist. I hope I was able to enlighten you about some of the cool versions of Sonic games that are available and make you want to go check them out. If there's any new versions that become available, I'll try to keep them updated in the description, so check down there for any updates. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you check out some of these versions of these Sonic games because they're very cool. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.